Alright. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I need to remember not to, maybe use something quite that chill, when I'm already feeling kinda tired. I don't know. Anyway, can y'all hear me? I don't know. Because it looks like it's picking it up. Maybe. Okay. Yeah. Like, in the span of time that, that the stream was on, just, like, waiting for people to come in and stuff, it's like, Okay, yeah, what's up with the donkey tails? What is this? What is this? Okay. Good to know? Yeah. Awesome. Awesome sauce. Alright. Yeah, I'm... Ow. Let's see. So what I think is... Yeah, okay, yeah. I didn't know them as donkey tails, but when you were talking about them losing little leaf bits real easy, that's what I thought you were talking about. I don't know. Which is interesting because we have quite a few of these. At a guess, before looking at it, I would say that you can propagate them from the little leaf bits. So that might be an evolutionary adaptation for in areas that they're already able to exist in. So there is that. Yeah, like they come off so easily. So easily. Alright, space. Yeah, okay. Throughout the year, the plant naturally drops an occasional leaf, known as beads or jelly beans. To some, the plump, modified leaves serve as tiny water storage units. The thick 3/4 inch beads overlap along the length of 3 to 4 foot evergreen stems. When beads drop on their own or with encouragement, a new plant often results. Often beads dry to form a callus and soon sprout roots. They quickly anchor into soil to form new plants. Natural bead drop involves limited, infrequent drops. When many beads fall, something more serious is happening. Or you ran into it. Leaves and stems, adept at water storage. But water retention could be an issue if it's an especially dry area. So, there's that. Ah, yes. Mouse, why are you not working? You've been doing this for like an hour, so why? You're gonna... And it froze. That's fun. Come on, man. So, again, just like Thursday. Either y'all heard all of that and saw the thing not working, or it was just a blank void for a minute. Oh, come on, man. I know part of this is because there's not that much in the way of available space on the computer. Like, I get it, but can we not right now? Maybe. There we go. Or do I just not have a mouse? Is that what I'm saying? Okay, fine. Admittedly, this is one of the reasons that I'm glad that I have a touchscreen still. Come on. And really, I just want to paste a thing. It shouldn't be that convoluted. Ow. weeks ago I was at Daiso and picked up a journal schedule. It's a schedule. It's too small to be a journal. But I put in the stream schedule and the tentative posting stuff in here, along with a potential schedule thing for books for the next 2 months. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Not so much for Botany Book Club books, but just like things that I want to read so that I can post a review thing for them. Right. Like, if you want to shut down between projects, that'd be fine. That'd be cool. We're good with that. But like, right now, can we not? Is that? I don't know. Because we've been on, like, fully on for like 13 minutes. And have been able to look at 2 websites. Because this guy over here is just having a day. Oh, man. Oh, jeez. Alright. Well, anyway, the link in the thingamabobble is the link to the thing that's on the screen right now. So, I mean, in certain areas it's lucky, and then in certain areas it's not. And, like, seriously. It's like, and it's not even that it's the frame rate, alright? It's at 2.7 drops right now. I was thinking it'd be like 40 or something, like it has been some days, but no, it's going down. It's 2.6 now. So I don't know what's happening with that. Not a problem, guys. Not a problem at all. Perfectly fine. Seriously, between this and like whatever's going on with computer, it's just, we're having a day today. It's fine. And am I gonna have to restart the computer in order to have a mouse? Like, is that really? Because like for the purposes of stream, I can just tap where I need to go. But dude. Ah! Thank you for the bit. For engaging the salts guy emote. Bit? The bit emote? Is that what you call it? Why did it do the thing twice though? Cause I heard it twice. Or did I just not? Yeah, cause that's muted. That's weird. Very strange. Anyway, so yeah. The bit thing, it's fine. Ow! Oh, okay. One sec. I mean, extra is fine. Extra's good. Ow. Yeah. So yeah, we've got the salt on tap and the ice pack on the hip right here because, just decided to get in on the salt factor of the situation we're currently in. And this guy right here. Now, if some of y'all either in the chat right now or watching this at a later point are not already familiar with the I don't know that Dubious Masterpiece would, fully incorporate the level of salt that we've been exploring in relation to the Smoke the Plant. But we're not even halfway in, and this thing is granted, most of the tabs are like content. It's not like there's no grammatical issues, there's no whatever sort of kind of on that one. But yeah, so again, exactly the masterpiece. So again, we've got pink for philosophy, orange that's mental health, yellow that's plant care, did not see any of those in this one, green that's ethnobotany, blue that's... I finally just got annoyed and put it as archeo and anthro, just because. So it's both archaeology and anthropology. Purple is the metaphysics, and violet is ecology. So, if you look in there, there's a whole lot of pink and purple. So, mostly philosophy and metaphysics. Just saying, right in there. Yeah. Now, I mean, where to even start? So I'm trying a new format for this round, and just, cause like, for the other ones, I wrote up the post-it info and stuck it in the book, and then transcribed it. And for this one, I just put the notes in the Google Doc that I'm working up for the whole rest of it. So we'll see how that works. If it doesn't, we'll go back to the Post-its. That's fine. Whatever. But being that the stick isn't all that great, they keep trying to fall out, so I don't know. That had not registered, but that makes sense. Being that Oso is what I know Bear as, and being that Spanish is, well, most Latin languages, but Spanish particularly, is a very gendered language, so that would make sense. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about this. Alright. Huh. Had not thought of that. But that is a good point. That is definitely a good point. Alright. Now. Alright, here we go. Okay, so and correct me if I'm wrong here, right? But the whole intro page, paragraph, however you want to classify it, just seems like one long rambling sort of a set of metaphors that essentially amounts to modern society is kind of boring and restrictive. So go explore the outside and expand your mind and awareness sometimes. Yeah? Is that about right there? I don't know. Also, being that she's based in, like, I realize that not everyone, yeah, exactly. Like, the tone and the cadence of the front pieces for each of the chapters feels a lot different from the rest of the content. So I have to wonder if someone else wrote it and it's not mentioned, or if it's a quote and it's not cited. I don't know. So, yeah. There's that. I will say, I'm glad that, you know, for a book that's someone from a Western background interacting with indigenous people to talk about their native plant culture, that 3 chapters in, she finally even mentions the Aboriginal people of her native Australia. So there's that. Um, yeah, the editor might have had a thing to do with that one. I don't know. Which, here, here's the thing, right? I can read novels that are hundreds of pages in not too long a time. I can read, like, I don't know. Granted, it's fanfic, and it's a different range of thing because you're already invested in the plotline. But I can read a fanfiction that's like 50,000 to 100,000 words in a couple of days, and it's fine. This thing is like 130 pages. And it feels like a 1,000-page textbook sometimes. I don't know. I just don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, so basically in this one, we've got the author again enacting the armchair anthropology sort of role of just kind of chilling at home and info is brought to her, which isn't necessarily a bad way to do things as long as you have relevant data. Because you can do remote research, you can do remote analysis of something. But, like, you need some kind of direct communicate with people. I will say, I was glad to see that there was an actual kind of breakdown info section of some of the processes, and I know that it wasn't more in depth for those because that is a protected ritual, tradition, however you want to phrase it. But yeah. It feels like a dusty tome that weighs a literal ton that was just dragged out of the dustiest archives. Yeah, basically. But, like, from the 90s. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, okay, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing that I always have an issue with stuff like this, right? Where it's especially if it's a white person writing the stories of by POC individuals. Regardless of whether or not you yourself are allowed into the space, which already, it's very rare for not even non-indigenous, like just people who are outside of that community. It's very rare for people outside of a direct community to be welcomed in to certain sacred spaces, particularly when it comes to indigenous practices, at least in part because white people have a track record of trying to capitalize on the information or stealing the information or various other things. Now, all we know about the author's relationship with the community she's working with are in here. And that's not really discussed. Just, my friend went to a thing and then gave me a root that I ate and started having hallucinations, or hallucinations slash visions slash dreams. It's kind of muddy there sometimes. So therefore, contacted the person who gave the friend the root. Yeah, exactly. Because I know there are people who do that, to get the ayahuasca experience in certain regions in South America. With the what's the term? It's not hallucinogenic tourism. I want to say it's something like psychoactive tourism, something like that. But it's a thing. And, yeah, especially with how she was writing it, like, the entire community was bending over backwards and like, oh, you're so amazing. Like, you're writing your memoir like you're a Mary Sue in a fan fiction. What are you doing? Regardless of whether or not that's how the story went down, you're not sounding all that believable right now, you know. So, like, it's one of those times that, like, if this was like a romance story, the chemistry between the characters would be non-existent. Like, I don't know. Like, it's, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things, right? It's just, why? Just why? Why any of this? On top of which, right? Just, I know that I've said this ad nauseum before. Here, on the YouTube, on the blog, wherever. But Mary Sue is the self-insert one. I don't know why it's called that, but it's like, if you, like, say, I've seen it most often for stuff like Potterverse fanfic, but the base storyline is already a magical school where people have abilities and can do spells and stuff, but then like it's a British school, so like there's some random American that comes in like in 6th year or whatever and is all cool and fabulous and masters everything with like just a flick of whatever because she's so super awesome. that that would be the Mary Sue. But like, yeah, like I know I've said this ad nauseum here and the blog and the YouTube and the podcast and everything, but if your friends, like, I don't care how good of a friend they are, if someone just, like, comes out of a mystery room somewhere with a pot of some kind of powder and goes, oh, here, look, I got this thing from the grandmothers. Why would your first instinct, shall we say, be, quote, before I could think, my little finger had already dipped into the powder and dispensed it on my tongue. End quote. Like, this is how you die, right? This is how you get dead. What are you doing? Seriously. is the main character, Mary Sue character, who keeps trying stupid things, and like the rest of the characters have to make sure they don't die. Like that's the energy that I'm getting from this chapter, right? It, honestly. And then, okay. This one, right? Drums are an integral part of pretty much every culture. The shape and size of the drum and what it does plays a distinctive role in the drum's purpose, and between cultures that can change drastically. And what it means. Oh yeah, no. That is going in the YouTube, alright? Even if I have to clip it out of this, just like download the thing and cut it and stick it in there, like it's going in there. Like, seriously. Oh man. But yeah. That and this, I realize I any expectation of anything, really, should just kind of be ignored at this point. But to puts the powder on her tongue. And just like, alright, this is called OSHA. Okay, that's fine. And then, rather than looking it up, like, this is like 2012. This relatively recent. Google was a thing, right? This was happening at the same point that I was doing my master's degree. Like, I know the resources that were available, right? Instead of doing anything possible to, like, look up info of just, like, oh, okay, I've already had some of this, am I maybe allergic to it? Any adverse reactions to ingesting a certain amount of the thing? Okay. No, instead it's just, that night I nibbled on the OSHA root before going to bed, and I dreamed. Again, you don't, you have a name, but you don't know what this thing is. This is how you die. You're, why? Just, why? No. I realize that if food allergies aren't, like, first and foremost in the front of your head, and you have to keep that in mind in every potential setting, it might not be as forefront as it would be for other folks. I get it. But, no. Come on, man. And then we get to the drum section, right? It was a slight detour, because, that was the first line in the paragraph, and needed to refute that. Okay, so we've got, alright. Apparently, a few years prior to this whole situation, the author had gone to a drum making workshop and had started experiencing the hypnotic and truly mind-altering effects of shamanic drumming, which, I'm gonna say, yeah, exactly. Which, if the, oh, right, this is the name, okay, that's what it's called, so what does it do? How is it used? What did the person who handed you the thing tell you about the thing? Just anything, really. Especially because, I don't know, 4 pages later, it's, oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention that, the translation, it means bear medicine, so therefore it's a bear. Come on. Yeah, no, drum circles are awesome. I forget what the title is. But I have a book over there. Because when I was first starting to get into, yeah, it would have been during. But when I was first really into medical ethnobotany, there was a medical anthropology course that I was doing. And I can't remember if I found this thing during the course or if I already had it and just used it as a main thing or what. But it's the title something like healing drums or something like that, but it's essentially vibrational frequency that drums there's some people who can go into a meditative trance very easily. There's some who cannot at all. I'm the former. My mom's the latter on that one. Drums are a very good way to do that. At least for me. But yeah, no, drum circles are pretty awesome. Depending on where you are and what the cultural associations for a particular drum or drumming style are, again, certain practices are protected or not so much isolated, but the realm of particular practitioners, shall we say. I.e., not white people, generally. I know I've got a, I always pronounce it wrong, but a Botany, the flat, Celtic drum, sitting over there somewhere. And, and this whole bit right here, oh, nice. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I haven't had the chance to go into a drum circle like that. I know I've been in a situation where it's like a recording of drums, and we were all in a group, and ended up seeing one of my spirit contacts having a nice little twirl out in the middle of the room, so that was fun. But yeah. I don't know. It was reminding me, though, because, like, I totally forgot about this until I was reading through. And it's just bit of a bit of a self call out to, like, if there's any, like, cultural appropriation in there at all, which being that there's many cultures that have drums and have drum circles and everything else. Doubt that. But I was just remembering, like, I know it's been thrown out at this point, but I remember, like, when I was a kid, we made talking drums. Now, the talking drum is a very particular type of drum, right? Because it's got chords on the side. Where is it? This guy. Like, on the right? Yeah, on the right. Where if you kind of compress the chords along the edges, it changes the pitch of the drum head. So you can control what it says, hence a talking drum, and instrument tonals travel a longer distance, so it's a distance speaking device, essentially. And also a drum. And also integral to certain parts of West African culture, from what I can figure. And the kids part of the church group that I was part of at that point decided that it was a good idea for essentially a bunch of white people to be making them. Granted, it was out of old coffee cans and string, and we had pencils with large erasers on them as the mallets, but yeah. Also, I was 8, but there we go. Yeah. That did span a lifelong obsession with percussion, though, I will say. But still. At least for that, it's like, that seems legit, and I'm not annoyed at it. Unlike every other situation that she's interacting with humans. But there we go. That is really cool that you saw the world tree, though. Okay. So, we've got a narrative of the author riding around the forest on the bear. Oh, yeah. Seriously, Tycho. Honestly, of all the drums, I think the Tycho is probably my favorite, just because of how epic it is. Like, and it has such a distinctive sound. Oh, man. Okay, yeah, one sec. I thought I could sit like that, and I can't, so we're gonna shift, and yeah, one sec. Oh, jeez. Ow. think so. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It was. There's so much other BS in here that, like, I'd forgotten where it was exactly. But yeah. Yeah, no, it was, Yay. Awesome. Music recommends are super fun. Alright. And again, like, right. I have to wonder. Okay? Because she said point blank that plants do not speak human languages. Because the whole premise of this is human-plant communication, or animalian plant communication, if you will. And yet, almost every instance past that, she said, the plant said, and I quote, now, it could be that there's like, that's the feeling that she got, or that's the interpretation of whatever info that came through. Fine. But then you say that, because otherwise you sound like you're contradicting yourself within the same book. Like, we're 3 chapters in, and she's contradicted herself at least 3 times per chapter. On top of everything else. So, yeah. On that one. Just, again, because it's reoccurring. Because, fun. And, okay, now, if you're in a trance, right, which seems to be the majority of what's in here, essentially, but if you're tranced, or trancing, or in a trance, whatever the terminology you want to use, I don't know, there's some of the phrasing that just got going in here, right? The feeling was one of commitment and urgency, as if I had signed out to attend an important class at some Earth-like school in an invisible dimension, and I couldn't be late. Which, needing to rush to go to school, but it also kind of has Alice in Wonderland vibes, which might well be what she was going for with the writing, but like, and also the whole Alice in Wonderland story is like, all the characters are kind of high, and that's how there's a trans-dimensional reality shift. Seriously? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about that. It, which, if it felt like it was real and not real at the same time, but like, an altered sense of consciousness and whatever, okay. Because that's what I would interpret if it's taking inspiration from Alice in Wonderland type language. However, that's not what it says. and for something like this, like, there's a certain amount that you can read into it. But especially when it's an actual memoir, or it's marketing itself as a memoir, it's presumably a real lived story. Also, we know from her own narrative that there are psychoactive, psychotropic, hallucinogenic, mind-altering substances being consumed to aid the botanical exploration process, shall we say. So, I don't know on that one. And then we come down a little bit more, and Osha, Osha the bear, is giving the author what looks like very particular phrasing, which any other situation where I've read something that's, yeah, exactly. Precisely. Like, again, this is how you die. Like, I realize that in a lot of, at least, big caveat here, okay. From what I've seen and from accounts that I've read, yeah, there we go. From accounts that I've read in anthropology, most coming of age rituals, especially those that have a psychological or vision transported component, like we see here, as opposed to like feats of physical prowess or whatever. A lot of the time for these, part of the point with the hallucinogens and the fasting and the lack of water and everything is to bring the person to the brink of death, because there's, not in every culture, but there's an idea that if you go to the edge of life, then you can have a foot in either realm, so you're better able to communicate with spirits. So there's that. Which is part of the whole, like, if you have a near-death experience, then you're more likely to experience certain things, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, yeah. The liminal state. It forces you into a liminal state. And I know for me, like, that's that's what happens when I try and meditate all the time. So, like, it's just there. But, um, yeah. Yeah. So, at which point, as far, well, I hesitate to say it's culty for the process, but depending on how it's depending on how the tradition is practiced, it could potentially become that. Because it's one of those, I don't want to be saying that, like, someone's native traditions are a certain kind of way. But there are people who can and sometimes do take elements of particular traditions or combine things from particular traditions, take something completely out of context and abuse it. It has the potential to go that direction. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, totally. Totally understand that. Yeah. But yeah. And there are definitely cults that do that in a big way. So, yeah. I don't know. And then there's alright. I lost my spot. Where'd it go? One sec. Nope. There you are. Okay. Now, here's the thing. In my, like, pagany spiritual practice, right? There's a lot of people who have a real big emphasis on the need for shadow work. And, you know, I get the emphasis for, you know, self-reflection and working through your issues and working through whatever shadows are in there. But one of the things that I've seen mentioned repeatedly by licensed therapists especially, and I follow a number of people who are therapists on, like, YouTube. There we go. Like, on TikTok. No, I don't. I don't do the TikToks. YouTube. And one of the things that they've said repeatedly, almost invariably, for that is that most of the time, like, you can do a certain amount, just whatever, but most of the time, because of how deeply rooted a lot of things are, you kind of, it's best if you have, like, some kind of therapist involved in the situation, or just, like, a secondary party, so it's not just you spiraling in your own head, you know? And I get that the whole, like, self-reflection and know your own thing is important, but there's a whole section in here, right, where the bear is telling her that, and it's, again, with the quotes, that she needs to sit quietly in the darkness of her soul. There is no fear. It is the darkness that contains all the potential to become light. Which, that whole thing, like, in the context, it's the darkness being, like, the soil to produce a seed that's growing and everything. But it sounds a whole lot like shadow work. And in a shamanic context, a lot of the time it's going into the deepest part of yourself that you probably don't necessarily want to look at, or that's been locked away for any number of reasons, because of traumatic experiences or whatever. And that's one of the big issues that a lot of people, myself included, have with the whole psychoactive tourism trade. Because you go in and if you're not in the right headspace, especially, or even if you are in the right headspace at the time, but there's, like, something just kind of lurking in the background, and you don't have that support system framework at the time, and you're taking something that you can't just snap out of because it is a mind-altering substance, and most of the time those last for a good number of hours and put your body through some intense situations, it can go real bad real fast. Yeah, trusted third party is also good in case the non-therapist shadow work promoting person is not acting in your best interest. Voice, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because then there's if you have someone, basically have someone that you trust there if you're working with things like that. Which, I know that being that it's a coming of age situation, It's like, go off and do this by yourself. That's part of it. But also, you stick in somebody who's not familiar with it, especially in this situation, right? Because, questions here. You're putting someone who's not familiar with the terrain, or the wildlife, or how seasonal, whatever, works in that area. And they don't have any food or water for 4 days. And are restricted to a section of ground that is only big enough to lay down in. Just up on a mountain. And yeah, if you're alone for an extended period of time, you have the contemplation aspect, you have the mind wandering to any number of things aspect. So, like, I get why that's a thing. I get why that's part of how they're doing it. But, also, yeah, exactly. Have a designated driver who can pull you back if needed. Or who can at least take care of you and make sure that you don't do something until you're not in the middle of it anymore. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know about that. Yeah, it's like, I was reading it and it's, okay, I'm just gonna gloss over this for right now, because there's a whole lot of other stuff, but like, 4 days without water in direct sun under a tree? Really? Really? Monica? Really? Sounds a bit sus to me. But there we go. So, yeah. Yeah, and... oh, yeah. Also, right? Also, there's a point in here where she's talking about anxiety. Now, from personal experience, right? Let's take a look at this. Quote, and in relation to, what was it? There's new possibilities, and if you are open to new possibilities, then you're not restricted to impossibilities, and it's a whole thing. So, quote, "This is why coping with anxiety does not really stop the anxiety. The answer is not in understanding and resolving anxiety, but changing perspective so that anxiety simply disappears. When it happens, the precious gift it brings is one of joy and excitement for life." So, like, when you're in the middle of an anxiety attack, right? Or an anxiety episode, I suppose. Don't know what the term would be for that exactly. You're in the middle of an anxiety situation. So, like, well, you're right in the middle of it, right? Or you feel it coming on, you're supposed to reframe the situation in your head, and then you won't have anxiety anymore. Is that what I'm reading? 'Cause I mean, it sounds good, but no one I know, and I know quite a few people who have anxiety situations on the daily sometimes. Um, Nobody I know would be able to do that with any kind of success and or regularity. Just cause. Because, yeah. It's like the because I know what it feels like to me when I'm in the middle of an anxiety situation. And the best I can describe is like drowning, but like on dry land. And oh yeah, no worries. No worries. Just going through the blurb on I mean, after some of this, like whiskey would, not be amiss, I don't think. Like, I mean, it would because me and alcohol tolerance are not a thing. Like, we don't really have a relationship. Like, I get kind of at least tipsy on that much of pretty much anything. But there we go. The passage of how was it? Coping with anxiety doesn't really stop the anxiety. The answer is not in understanding and resolving the anxiety, but just changing this perspective, and then the anxiety disappears. Because, that has the same sort of vibe as, like, also, like, you have depression, so, like, just go do something that's fun. It's fine. Bullshit. Monica, why? Why you do this? Why? And then she goes on to this, like, weird dissertation about the geese outside and how that cured her anxiety somehow. Like, she went outside to have a chill and watch the sunrise with coffee. Yeah, it's gonna lower your stress levels because you're sitting outside and not rushing to your office like 5 minutes before you have to be there. Calm down. Honestly. Oh my god. Yeah. Now, where was this? I'm trying to find where the thing. Yeah, exactly. Like, and before I really understood what was happening with that. Like, I didn't really have a frame of reference for the depressive part of it, the depression aspect. But like the rest of it, yeah, no, totally. Not that doesn't work. Because for a long while, the way that I dealt with my own depressive episodes was like to forcibly do something or go outside for a while, and that tends to mitigate it at least a bit. So it's like, but that would work, right? No, 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 no. Especially not in certain contexts. So like, no, no. Ah. Seriously. Like, this. Oh, man. Like, I keep wanting to give her the benefit of the doubt because there's kernels of, like, decent stuff in here and whatever. And then she just goes on, like, a 3-page tirade that's all self-important and obnoxious. Oh, yeah, this thing is what you were talking about. Just full on calling out one of her colleagues. Yeah, after being all salty that the other people in the department didn't acknowledge the plants talking through sound thing, from from chapter 2. Quote, for over 2 years, for example, a colleague in my own department had looked past me as we passed in the corridors as though I were transparent. He had decided never to respond to my hello or how you doing as a form of prophylaxis, just in case my research ideas on plants turned out to be virulent maladies that could infect his mind and by mere association irreversibly taint his career. Like, dude, you're dramatic. You are so dramatic. What? Honestly, what is happening? Oh, man. Alright. So. Ow. Alright. One sec. Is the tea cool enough that I can drink it? I mean, it better be. It's been sitting in here for like 6 hours. Alright. So, we're gonna have a slight tea break here. Grab your beverage of choice. Especially because I haven't had water in like an hour. Yeah, exactly. It's like, if you're gonna be dramatic, at least, be a good dramatic, Like, it's not even the good characters. It's like Malvolio, the annoying bit of dramatics. Indeed. So yeah, in case any of y'all are interested, today's tea is Imperial Green. One sec. What was that? Imperial Matcha Green Tea that I got from Pick and Save like a month ago. That's it was like $2 for a box, so I'm not mad at it. But also you have to let it steep for like an hour in order for it to not taste like vaguely flavored water. I mean, Malvolio though. It now okay. Was Malvolio Romeo and Juliet or Hamlet? Because if it was Hamlet, no, that's something else. Yeah, that's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. That's oh wow, okay. Yeah, the two most throwaway characters in that entire play, as far as I'm aware. Oh yeah, okay. That's the other one. See, 12th Night is the one that we actually had to act out, that I somehow forgot the name of. That I always somehow forget the name of. At least I'm pretty sure it was 12th Night, and not Tempest. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty sure it was 12th Night. But yeah. And it's not even the actual Shakespearean play that I know Rosencrantz and Guildenstern from. It's the, I don't remember who wrote it, but sometime in 1900s, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead play. That's just them vibing, waiting for their friends to come back because they got left on a bench. Alright. Okay. And, okay. Now, page 46, 47, and 48, we've got the actual info for the ritual practice and whatnot, right? Yeah, they're that makes sense. Yeah, all of the all of the plays and general literature that I read in high school, what I still remember of it, at least, has all kind of blobbed together in a certain miasma of the same general time period, pretty much. So yeah, we would have read that around the same time as we read The Stranger. And I think around the same time we read Crime and Punishment, too. Which is an interesting combination. But, like, fun fact about Rin, there was a time that Albert Camus' The Stranger was my favorite book. I don't know. I don't know what that says about the psyche happening up in here. But, there we go. Somewhere it's still on the bookshelf, too. That'd be an interesting one to look into again. Yeah, it's one of those very existential, like, the entire thing takes place over the span of... Actually, I'm probably getting Crime and Punishment and The Stranger confused. Because Crime and Punishment, for all that it's, like, that thick, takes place over the span of, like, 2 days? 4 hours, something like that? Just, like, what is it? I can see the cover. I have no idea what it's called. Portrait of an Artist. There we go. That's not it. I have not read it, but, it's the same guy who wrote Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. Joyce? Is that? Yeah, James Joyce. Like, James Joyce's Odysseus, or the Odyssey? Yeah, it would have been Odysseus, because there's a character named Odysseus. Presumably after Odysseus in the Odyssey, because there's a whole journey to get back home. But it takes place over the course of a night, because he goes out drinking with friends or something, and then has to make his way back home. Hey, I don't know about that one, but yeah. Camus is very, very existential, and it gets kind of dark in there real fast. One of those, like, character does a bad, so he's in jail, and there's, you know, an end to aliveness expected at the end of the jail time, and you're just in the cell with him vibing. It's a whole thing. But yeah, it's I don't know about that one. Alright. So, because I'm just slapping the notes out of the previous chapters. And honestly, this is also why I tried moving the notes over to a digital format. Here we go. Excuse me. Just scrolling through, because I haven't looked at the notes for a while. Also, just, I want to say, right, going back a little bit, I have to wonder about both the author and a friend, right? When the whole, like, root situation is first brought up. Like, if your friend is just sticking their fingers in the random mystery powder you've just presented them with no context, and then doesn't ask you any questions about the plant material that you're handing them, that presumably is going to have some kind of impact on their person, whether it be physiologically or psychologically or both. How do you forget to, impart the information that was gifted to you with the plant material to the person who is getting the plant material? Like, how? How does that just whoop, out your mind? I don't get it. Basically, yeah. Yeah. Basically. If you have any if you have any issues with certain themes and things, I would highly suggest not reading The Stranger. Because, like, it might not give you an existential crisis, but if that's already a thing that's, like, percolating, on top of the, not alive, you want to give that a miss. In a big way. And all of that happens in the span of a book that's only, like, this thick. There's, like, I don't know, 100 pages in there? Max? It's thinner than this thing is. Like, I don't know. I mean, fair enough. Fair enough, right? That is a valid potential point. Okay. Alright, yeah, it looks like we're back up and ready to go. Okay, so for this though, colors have a different meaning depending on the culture that you're going into. But red, especially for rites of passage, and I want to say that they would have talked about this beforehand, and that's just not mentioned. Like, it was suggested that I bring an offering, blah blah blah, or something. But it's just, where is it? I offered tobacco wrapped in red cloth and respectfully made my official request for her, so, I know I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, so anyone who's hearing this, I'm sorry. But, Mato ta prosciutto wakan najin? It's the... Is it a Y, like in Spanish, or is it a J, like in English, or something else altogether? Because it's Lakota. I don't know. But tobacco is traditionally a very... I mean, it's a very traditional offering. It's something that's needed for the ceremony itself. It's a thing. In a lot of cultures, where, especially where tobacco is naturally occurring in the region, burning tobacco is a general catch-all spirit communication thing. There we go. So that works. And if it's a coming of age or a rite of passage thing, especially if it's a rite of passage in a female space, I mean, rite of passage, regardless, generally, is read for, like, blood and the lineage with that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was trying to figure out how to get braiding sweetgrass, and that's part of why I was trying to access the library setup. But when I looked at it, there is a copy, or there's 14 copies. It's either there's 4 copies or 14 copies, but like there's a whole list of people with it, with those particular copies, like waitlisted already. So I don't know on that one. Having to contemplate as far having to contemplate as far as that goes. So, yeah. You know, I just noticed, right? Especially for, like, more academic stuff, it always says on the back what the classification is. If it's, like, spirituality, or religion, or plants, or history, or whatever. And this right here on the back, right there, nature, ecology, and plants. For this. What? I don't... Why? Just why? Okay. And then she goes on to lay out the exact, like, dimensions and description of the space that she's gonna be in. seriously, the shenanigans up in here. Yeah, no, seriously, like, thus spoke the plant. Oh, okay. Science and groundbreaking research. And it's nature and ecology. Alright, yeah. The frick is this? Oh my god. Oh. So yeah, moral of the story, kids. This is not how you record and publish ethnographic data. And if you're working with plants that have a strong cultural background, you need ethnographic data because it's ethnobotany. Otherwise, you're the annoying person coming in and just taking the bits that you want. And nobody likes that. Seriously, stay in there. Honestly. Oh my God. Okay. Is this what I'm thinking? Okay, so there's... And just as a ritual preparation thing, it makes sense, right? The only issue that I... Is it bad that, like, Monica in context of book is like, yeah, totally. But for some reason, and I haven't seen the freaking show in over a decade, but like, for some reason, that just makes me think of the character on Friends. I don't know why. It's just why. I don't... But also, yes. Yeah. What, now. Monica versus Karen. That's a question right there. Who would win in the battle of, like, being really supremely annoying? Oh, man. Alright, so, yeah. Again, the only issue that I really have with, like, how the whole thing... I mean, at that point, the entirety of archaeology prior to, like, the last couple of years is kind of in that category. I'm not gonna lie. Because, like, you know, you look at places like the British Museum and it's like, y'all just raided tombs, that's what you did. Come on. I mean, seriously, as much, and I'm gonna end up doing a video about this at some point. Excuse me. just because it's so much of a thing. But as much as I appreciate museums, especially like in the older collections, because there are certain artifacts that if you look in situ, because they have been so well known for such a long period of time, there isn't anything left, or there's barely anything left, or what's there is busted beyond recognition. Like, there's a certain amount of information that you can glean from museum archives and everything. But also, it's just the vast majority of them are just like essentially temples to colonialism, because you can go in and see everywhere that that particular ruling body, shall we say, has had power, has had a dominion over the local population, and thus decided to take whatever was interesting. And that's not limited to like the archaeology. That's like they took plant samples and brought them back, and that's how you get Kew Gardens. Because Victorians. And there's some plants that are now extinct in their native range and are being repopulated by those garden collections. So it's helping from that angle, but like also oh Jesus. Oh no. Oh god. Yeah, Monica of Arabia. Yeah. Ow. Oh, jeez. Seriously, and I'm going through this, right? And we're reading the whole thing, and it's like, okay, how? I have some questions. Okay, how is this person a university professor person at 3 separate universities in Australia? I have questions. I don't know. But basically, the rest of this is, there's like 3 pages where it, alright, the way she phrased it, right? Was that she went into the sweat lodge for the preparation bit, and yeah. Yeah, when I was looking up her info and stuff, it's Sydney, Queensland, and there's another one, but I don't know if it's like a private thing or if it's like something else. I don't know. But the two that I remember are Sydney and Queensland. Like, eh, what is happening? I don't know. I just, I have questions. There are a lot of them. But when she's describing leaving the sweat lodge, like there are plants that give off an altering sort of effect. There we go. All that was coming to mind is energy, and that's it. No. It gives off an altering sort of effect in regards to your consciousness. If you breathe in certain fumes and stuff. I'm guessing that's what happened, because there's no mention of her saying that she drank something or whatever. And usually smoking, drinking, or just inhaling something from ambient contained environment is the three that you would interact with on that capacity. However, she is on the trip up. The only thing aside from the clothes that she's wearing that she's got is the pipe, which is a ceremonial object, a ceremonial like connection to the other, the ether, however you want to phrase it. But, and there's no, thank you for clipping it, Honeycomb. There's no time period given here. We don't know if it's like 5 minutes or like an hour or whatever. But went in, and then when she came out, vision was blurred, perception was altered, so she was already like in that liminal space. And then being dehydrated and having, I mean, like, overly dehydrated until the point that, like, you almost dead, really. Like, it honestly, if you're out in direct sun for 4 days, you're probably going to get heat stroke before anything else happens, so, just a thing. But there we go. Yeah. Because forcing the altered state of consciousness, especially for a prolonged period of time, would cause visions, which is what the vision quest would be aiming for, among other things. And then we have a 3-page depiction of her just lying out for 4 days and it being cold at night, watching the stars, and it being really hot during the day because the tree didn't, like, the shade from the tree didn't extend over to her little spot. There was a bear that came through and just acknowledged that she existed because they'd had a conversation months ago, because that same bear, according to her, at least according to her rationale in that altered state of consciousness, was the same bear that she'd talked to while still in Australia and had brewed her medicine, hence why it's called the Bear's Cauldron. Yeah, exactly. Sleep deprivation is a big one. And honestly, like, the like, it's, I don't know. It's one of those that I know how my interactions, my altered state, whatever, meditative interactions with plants go. And some of the elements in this are things that I have heard reported from other folks who work with plants. But even though nothing nothing happened, just how it be. Exactly. You can just dive into an alternate reality, and I mean, you lost for a couple chapters and stuff, and you know, might be floundering around a little bit, but there you go. What? Not familiar, no. Well, that is your opinion. So, there you go. Alright. So, we've got a couple of accounts of the author talking to plants here. Thank you, Honeycomb. No. And yeah. No. No, we're not gonna do that. So basically, the forest is saying, can you not, guys? Really? What even was that? Like, seriously. Like, alright, alright. You wanna come in on the salt stream? Alright, fine. Oh my god. So, basically, long story short for this section here, the author is so super duper awesome. No, that works. Have at it with the banhammer. You are perfectly fine with that. It's like, if you'd ask, like, if this was a situation like sometime last year or whatever, might have a different answer for you, but my tolerance for BS shenanigans has, like, it was here, now it's like way down here after the last year or so. So, like, you're fine. Carry on, friends, as you are. But yeah, so this whole couple of pages right here is basically the author saying that she's so super duper awesome that the entirety of the forest and general plant community, that's like the entirety of the plants in the forest, and some of the animals too, from the looks of it, have decided that she is the spokesperson for them all. Not any of the native people that are, presumably guiding the whole process, or any of that, just like that one, who's basically tourist, right? And again, has real strong Mary Sue self-insert fanfiction vibes. But there you go. Is possible? Perhaps. Is likely? Not so much. But, there we go. And then, one of the gentlemen in the group that's holding the space as the whole thing is happening, is saying to her that there's great power. It's super amazing. Yes, you have strong power and you will do great things. And just like, his words traveled right to my core and I thanked him. I knew I had been seen. Like, it reads like a dramatic YA protagonist. Right there? Exactly. Monica Sue. That. Oh, man. And then we've got, like, on the second to the last page of the chapter, she finally has some kind of interaction with, the, Aboriginal people of Australia. Because, she finally went back to Australia. And, those stories that someone is just in the right, like, the precisely right place at exactly the right time, and it's not believable at all, but it's part of a fictional storyline, so, like, alright, fine. Like, the whole Forrest Gump situation and all the rest of it. It's like, so, she goes back to Australia and meets up with, one of her friends, named Chiara, I think. So, Chiara worked for a major Australian radio and television network, and at the time of my visit, she was carrying out interviews with some remarkable international scholars, thinkers, and activists. They included prominent Aboriginal Australian elders like Uncle B, whom Chiara was meeting for an interview on the day I was returning to Perth. That seems a bit too, coincidental there. I don't know about that, but okay. It's like, this is the kind of situation that if it was a fictional story, you would need something else in there as a reason for why that might have happened, other than because reasons. I don't know. A strange buzz swirled around us as I described to Chara the instructions I had been given by the plants during my vision quest. Before I knew it, the words spoken by the oak tree were taking material form, and a few days later I was in Perth having coffee and eating strawberries with Uncle B. By the time August came around, I had been invited to visit him at his home in... I'm gonna butcher this, I'm sorry. Mutijutlu? An Aboriginal community at Uluru in the heart of Australia. But that's a story for later. So presumably, that's one of the, following chapters. But I don't know about that. Oh. Exactly. Like, see, if this was set, right? If this was set in like 1840 or something, all right, fine. The entire continuity would be way off. But like for the travel thing, all right. You happened to get there at exactly the time that someone else happened to be there. All right, I'll believe that. But this is 2012, right? Y'all have cell phones and email and whatever else. Like, how about that? And then on the next page we have like the most Deus Ex Machina situation, right? Of like, she's cleaning out her desk because, oh, woe is me! Academia just cannot understand my research. They don't like me. They don't appreciate my genius. Oh my god. Because, she went ahead and wrote that she wanted to research plants talking via sound, for grant funds, and thus her job. And no one liked the idea. Everyone thought it was a stupid idea. And then gets an email from one of our friends. It's like, you realize that, like, you have a job still, right? No, that's a horrible joke. Ha! Like, no, seriously, like, check out the Australian Research Council site. Like, check this here. Look at this. Oh. And then she went outside and cried and thanked the trees because they had watched over her because the oak said that it was fine. What? And again, with like actual dialogue, not just like a feeling of serenity or whatever. Like, it's... No. I honestly, like, I don't know how my people watching is gonna be after this, but that's kind of the whole premise of an on-site anthropologist, as it were, yes. To analyze the lives and idiosyncrasies of, in general, humanity, as people go about their lives and idiosyncrasies, shall we say? Don't know what that was. At this point, it's like, is the book killing brain cells, or is it just, like, altering things that are already there? I don't know. I don't know. It just, oh man. So, that's the end of the chapter. So, yeah. Going... Exactly. Exactly. For research purposes, it's fine. I am not snarky. I am anthropologist. It's all good. Oh my god. What was that? Alright. So, it looks like... Oh yeah, also, this is... I don't know if y'all actually saw the cat, but the schedule book that I ended up picking up at Daiso, with the schedule bits, it looks like at the rate that we're going, we're gonna finish up this one, the second Monday in May. So we've got a little bit of time left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 weeks for this game. Now. Well, I'm reading this. Well, we're going through that. I'm about halfway through with this one, and then the review analysis will be up on the channel. For that, just exactly. Thank you so much for clipping that. For the honey bus, I will say, and there's gonna be trigger warnings and stuff in there too. There's a lot of references for toxic relationships and toxic family life and things like that. Because of what I'm focusing on, it's going to be the bees and how accurate the bee information is in there. And then either it's going to be like the botanical references to everything else before the bees, and just like a, if you want to skip, click forward, or have it be after the bees. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But there's that. And reading The Lost Apothecary. And that'll go up. It's interesting so far. I'll say that. It's one of those... It has an almost entirely female cast, but I don't know that it can pass the Bechdel test. I think that's what it's called. The one where it's like a certain percentage of the storyline has to be the female characters not talking about men as their discussion point. And so far, I'm 11 chapters in, and basically all the female characters talk about is how the men in their life have disappointed them in one way or another. And it's to joint storylines in 2 different time periods in first person. Which is an interesting strategy, I'll say that. So, props for creativity. But there we go. And I mean, we're only coming into the 4th chapter in this game, but I have most of admittedly, the Botany shelf is like right there, and I can't quite get to it right now. But most of the rest of the books that I have access to are on the pinned message in the Botany Book Club channel in the Discord. So we can figure out what we all want to read for the next set of things on that one. So, there's that. Anyone have any questions, comments, thingamabobbles that they'd want to discuss or what have you? Yeah. Thank you, honeycomb. Yeah, only 3 chapters, and it looks like a forest died. I mean, they're plastic tabs, and admittedly, I don't know, I shouldn't be surprised that they're not that great a quality, because I got them from Daiso, and it was like $1 for all of them. But like, if you look at it, where is it? I don't know about that. Plant and dropping? No, that's the next one. What? Why she gotta be messing with mimosas? They're just trying to live their life. Yeah. They're just trying to just chill and be their normal little adorable selves. Like, why are you messing with those? Honestly. Yeah. I had a mimosa a couple years back. It's like, when was that? Yeah, it must have been like a year and a half ago. Yay. Honestly. Like, yeah, no, that, okay, so it looks like what she's doing, right, is, like, every other, let me see, far as I know, no, mimosa plants are just, they're called sensitive plants for a reason. Like, you touch them and they just go, no. Which, you know, relatable. Like, no. Get away. No. Admittedly, that was more me before quarantine. Now it's just like, hmm. But, okay. Let me just see something real quick, alright? We've got science-ish. Oh, interesting. I mean, I was gonna say, oh, it looks like there's, you know, one that's science and one that's not science and one that's science and one that's not science, and then it was like, you know what, let's have both in this one. Because reasons. Whatever. Anyway, oh, yeah, also, if anyone wants to do a non-botany read-along situation, in the next month or so, I'm gonna try and read through these again, because from what I remember at least, they were seriously awesome. And the whole lot of them are not that thick. So, shouldn't be too hard. Oh, man. And then amongst everything else. Alright. So, let's just see real quick. A mimosa cocktail is composed of champagne or other sparkling wine and chilled citrus juice, usually orange juice unless otherwise specified. It's traditionally served in a tall champagne flute at brunch, at weddings, or as part of a business class service on planes, trains, whatever. Yeah. Yay! Awesome. Yeah, okay. That was one of the things. I remembered, yeah. Okay. I remember that being one of the issues that I was having for the first read through. Because, like, it was, like, how, how, how to pronounce? You're cool. I like you. How do I say your name? Yeah. So, Mentally Pimer. Got it. Why are they both mimosas? Uh, for that, it's usually that the plant was around and named, and then something about how the plant presented inspired a cocktail. I can only assume that it's something about the citrus and a sunburst or something, and the flowers look. I have no idea. Let's see, actually. Why does it say that it's called a mimosa? Okay, what? Okay, so we've got the Buck's Fizz. It's a similar type of cocktail invented a few years earlier in London that's got twice as much champagne as orange juice. So, right? The poinsettia, or poinsettia, is cranberry juice with champagne, or sometimes with vodka and or cointreau. What is that? What is that? What are you? I don't. Okay. Right. A lamosa is. There's just something about lemonade and champagne that just not sound appetizing. I don't know. There's just something about it. The Vermosa is apple cider with champagne, notably served in Vermont. Also called a crisp. Somehow, I would be more likely to want to try it if it was called a crisp than a Vermosa. I don't know. Soleil, made with pineapple, Megamosa. Guys. Well, I mean, apparently a deviled egg is an oif mimosa, and a mimosa salad is a festive Russian salad. Right? Right? I couldn't quite figure why. It just, like, yeah, no. But, that, that would encompass it, yes. Yes. That would be why. I don't know if it's better or worse than calling all plant matter vegetal organisms or not, but, oh. Oh, God. Like, seriously. Monica, why? Why you do this? Why? I don't. I don't know. Alright. Okay. Time for stretchy time. I realized that time was in there twice, but like, it's time for the stretchies. It's fine. Ow. Alright. Okay. So, anyone have any further queries, comments, suggestions, commentary on the universe? What have you? Oh. I keep forgetting that I have this thing, right? Just completely side tangent, I realize. But it's a lens pen. Exactly. Stretchy time. Stretchy time is a noun. It's fine. So we've got a lens pen over here, right? That I keep forgetting that I have, mind you. But, right. Like, there's a brush end that you just slide off and you control it with this little thing. And the other end you have to screw off, and it's a thingy. The premise being that you use it to dust the lens and then buff the lens on a camera of some description. So, yeah. There's that. Fun times. Anyway. Ow. That being said, I think we're gonna call it, yeah, I think we're gonna call it there for right now. Much as I have a blast hanging out with all of you. So, don't forget, we're doing the usual botany discussion time / art / whatever else happens on Thursday at 4 or slightly before, we'll see. And then again next Monday, chapter 4 in this bunch of shenanigans. So, yeah. Do we want to do a raid or just for today? I don't know. Who is even on? Ow. So, yeah. There's that. What am I doing? Ow, ow. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, I know. Is there more than just CB in their name? I can't remember. I want to say there is, but I'm also trying to find them in the sidebar thingy. Because the internet has decided to be super duper slow and obnoxious. Yeah, okay. There we go. Nope, nope, nope. Let me. Why are you over there? Seriously, why? 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 Come on. Alright, there we go. Yeah, we're good. We are good. It is not. This right here is like, this is from the first anime expo that I went to back when they were still being held at the Long Beach Convention Center in 2006. Back when Artist Alley was just like, the entrance point was here, and the vendors were over here, and the Artist Alley was just like in the lobby. And now you have to go through the maze of vendors and whatever else to get to the Artist Alley way in the back. But it's got a little chibi character with horns, and it says mischief, and presumably it says mischief in Japanese. My kanji skills are not that great, so I actually have no idea if that's what it says. But I'm going on the translation description thing. Where are you? Right there. So, I don't know. But, I mean, Orion could totally rock it. But those are indeed horns and not ears. Does give me ideas for an Orion shirt, though. I'm not gonna lie. Alright. So. We have infiltrated CB's corner. Okay. So we've got that. Alright. Are you gonna let me do the thing? Alright. So yeah, no, totally. Totally. Are you gonna let me do the paste thing? Yeah, maybe? Yeah? There we go. Okay. Fabulous. Alright. Have a super fabulous day, everybody. See y'all later. Have a good one. Have a good week. There are things coming. That sounded ominous. Good things. Possibly slightly cringe things with some of the stuff. It's fine. Anyway. Have a good one. I will see you later. Until next time. Be well, friends. Be well indeed.